Ryuei Ryu is an Okinawan style of karate with a unique history. It began as a secret family art and later emerged onto the global stage. To appreciate its journey, we travel back to 19th century Okinawa, then the Ryukyu Kingdom, a trading hub heavily influenced by Chinese culture. In this era, a young man named Norisato Nakaima, also known as Kenri Nakaima, grew up in Kume village, a community of Chinese descendants in Naha city. Nakayama was well educated in Chinese language and was fascinated by martial arts at a time when Okinawans often learned combat skills from visiting Chinese officials. At 19 years old, around 1838, Nakayama seized a rare opportunity to travel to Fuzhou, China to pursue martial arts training. An influential military officer, impressed by the young man's enthusiasm, introduced him to the renowned Master Ryu Ryu Ko, also called Ryu Ryu Ko. Under this teacher, who was a master of Fujian Chinese boxing, Nakayama trained rigorously for about 7 years. He studied not only unarmed combat, but also a broad curriculum including military strategy, Chinese medicine, and even astrology. This comprehensive education in a Qing dynasty military school gave Nakayama deep knowledge of fighting techniques and traditional wisdom. After years of dedication, he earned a certificate of graduation from his master and returned to Okinawa in his mid-20s. Norisato Nakaima came home with a wealth of martial knowledge and even a collection of weapons and training scrolls he had gathered in China. However, he chose not to open a public dojo. Why? Because secrecy was part of the tradition he inherited. Nakayama believed that the power of martial arts should be used responsibly and not taught freely to anyone. He is said to have told his family that their art should not be used without good reason nor taught to others easily. It should be kept in the family and be taught to one child per generation. In other words, Ruei Ryu, though it wasn't called that yet, became a private family legacy. For decades, only Nakayama's descendants would learn this art in secret, preserving the techniques and principles within the household. True to Norisato's wishes, the art passed to his son Kenshu Nakaima and later to his grandson Kenko Nakaima. These generations diligently kept the practice alive behind closed doors. Kenshu, despite living in hardship after the family's fortune waned, maintained the training and impressed upon his own son that this martial art was their most valuable inheritance. Kenko Nakaima, born in 1911, grew up mastering his grandfather's art. He also became a school teacher and principal, which gave him a broad perspective on life and education. By the late 1960s, Kenko saw that times had changed. Teaching karate openly was no longer a threat, but rather could be a benefit to society. In 1971, at around 60 years old, he decided that the old vow of secrecy was no longer necessary. Breaking tradition with respect but firm resolve, Kenko began teaching students outside the family for the first time. It was at this point that the style was formally named Ryuei Ryu, a name chosen in honor of Nakayama's Chinese teacher, Ryu Ryu Ko. In fact, the name uses a character from the teacher's surname as a tribute to that lineage. Kenko Nakayama's first group of students in Okinawa included his own sons and a few select others. Notably, he taught 2 talented 13-year-old boys, Tomohiro Adashiro and Takeshi Matsuda, as well as a local physical education teacher named Suguo Sakamoto. In addition, he gathered a small class of about 20 school teachers to learn this once secret art. Kenko also founded the Ryu Karate and Kobudo Preservation Society to ensure the art's survival and growth. This was a turning point. After nearly a century in the shadows, Ryu was finally stepping into the light of the broader karate community. Suguo Sakamoto, a protege of Kenko Nakaima, became a world-renowned karate champion and helped bring Ryu's kata to international fame. Among those early students, Suguo Sakamoto soon emerged as a standout figure. Sakamoto had been one of the outsiders, fortunate enough to learn the Nakaima family's style, and he proved to be an extraordinary martial artist. In the 1980s, he stunned the karate world by performing a Ryu kata called Anan in international competitions and winning multiple world karate championships and World Games gold medals with it. His dynamic performances, he won 3 consecutive world championship titles among other honors, put the spotlight on this once mysterious style. Many karate enthusiasts had never seen Anan or the other exotic forms of Ryu Ryu before. Thanks to Sakamoto's success, these kata gained fame and respect. Anan became particularly iconic as a high-scoring, crowd-pleasing form in tournaments. In essence, Sakamoto brought Ryu Ryu from obscurity to the global stage, proving the effectiveness and beauty of its techniques. Thank you for watching my videos. If you enjoy what I do, support me by clicking the join button. This way you'll get early access to my videos before anyone else. You'll get the chance to read my translations of old Japanese articles about traditional karate. You'll also get access to my Daido Juku Kudo karate courses. Now, let's get back to the video. Meanwhile, Ruei Ryu was quietly spreading beyond Okinawa through other students. In 1979, Kenko's disciple Tomohiro Arashiro was entrusted with introducing the style to the United States. Arashiro moved to America and became the Pan-American chief instructor, establishing dojos and teaching Okinawa's once secret art to Western students. Over the years, Ruei Ryu schools have appeared in places like Argentina, Venezuela, Mexico, Europe, and across the US, as well as throughout Japan and Okinawa. What started as a family art practiced only in one Okinawan home is now one of the internationally recognized Okinawan karate styles, taught to thousands of practitioners worldwide. It may not be as large as Shotokan or Goju Ryu, but Ruei Ryu has secured its place in the karate landscape, especially after its exposure in international competitions. Beyond the fascinating history, what is Ruei Ryu like as a martial art? In terms of technique and philosophy, Ruei Ryu reflects its blended heritage of Chinese and Okinawan fighting arts. It descends from the Naha tradition of Okinawan karate, like Goju Ryu, which means it emphasizes close-range combat, rooted stances, and controlled breathing and power. Training in Ruei Ryu includes traditional kata, choreographed patterns of moves, many of which are unique to this style. These kata have poetic names inherited from its Chinese lineage. Practitioners learn forms such as heiku, paiku, pachu, ohan, paiho, and the most famous, Anan, among others. Some of these were kept secret within the style for generations, and even today, they give Ruei Ryu a distinctive flavor compared to the more commonly seen karate forms. The kata of Ruei Ryu are known for their combination of graceful circular movements and explosive strikes, showcasing both the fluidity and the power of the art. In fact, observers note that Ruei Ryu's techniques and training have much in common with Goju Ryu's heavy Chinese influence, featuring both hard, impactful techniques and soft, flowing motions, for which Southern Chinese martial arts are known. Another hallmark of Ruei Ryu is that it preserves weapon arts, kobudo, alongside empty-hand karate. Nakayama had learned various weapon skills during his time in China and collected weapon techniques, which were passed down in the family art. Thus, Ruei Ryu includes training with Okinawan weapons like the bow staff, sai, and others, in line with its full name, Ruei Ryu Karate and Kobudo. This integration of Kobudo reflects the completeness of the system that Nakayama brought back. Students learn to defend themselves both unarmed and with traditional weapons, continuing the legacy of a 19th century warrior's education. From a secret legacy to a style showcased in world championships, the saga of Ruei Ryu Karate is a remarkable one. It began with a young Okinawan's determination to learn from the best in China and was safeguarded through generations under a vow of secrecy. A century later, it was the wisdom and foresight of Kenri Nakaima that opened the art to the wider world, just in time for modern karate enthusiasts to experience its richness. And in the hands of masters like Tsuguo Sakamoto, Ruei Ryu proved its worth by captivating audiences and judges on the global stage. Today, karate fans and practitioners can appreciate Ruei Ryu not only for its intriguing history, but also for its distinctive techniques, a blend of Okinawan spirit and Chinese skill preserved through the ages and shared finally with all who wish to learn.